So massive well done everyone. I still can't believe the fact that we got Manifest Season 4 back after our fan-driven campaign. Absolutely incredible. And Season 4 on that point was just so good. Josh Dallas honestly needs to win all of the awards under the sun, as his portrayal of Ben Stone was absolutely brilliant. And also Angelina, what an unstoppable villain. Season 4 honestly just did not stop and was so gripping from start to finish. What is up everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video, we are going to be reviewing the first part of Season 4 of Manifest, which truly came back with a vengeance on Netflix and was just so good. And also, can we just take a minute to just appreciate the fact that this fan-driven campaign was so successful, and we've got 20 episodes of Manifest Season 4, and the first part of which, the first 10 episodes, which is absolutely incredible. I wasn't sure what to expect from it when they said that they were going to do a 2-year jump, as I just felt like Season 3 just ended in a way that you needed to pick up directly from it, but they definitely did fill in the gaps of that 2-year gap period with all of the flashbacks, and then you were able to see them 2 years later, which I do actually think kind of worked in their favor. And it was a really great first part of Season 4. I feel like there was a great even spread of storylines across all of its awesome characters, and they brought back all of the veteran characters from the first 3 seasons as well, all of the guest starring roles before that. And I love the additional passengers that were just popping up every now and again, and just the gripping storylines. So many jaw-dropping moments, so many edge-of-your-seat moments, and a lot of high stakes. And I feel like they really built up to it, so you really did earn those truly incredible nail-biting moments. And we are going to be doing a full breakdown of everything to do with the first part of Manifest Season 4 in this video, also explaining the ending, doing some theories of what's going to happen in part 2. I will add all of the timestamps in the description box below, so you can jump to any bit that you want, or if you want to watch the whole thing, which I would advise you to do, then sit back and relax, as we are going to be reviewing and breaking down the first part of Season 4 of Manifest. So much happened in these 10 episodes. I'm going to be talking about the 5 biggest storylines, but don't worry, I will be talking about everybody's individual storylines in the character section. So the first one is the search for Eden, and I think it was really great that they took their time with this, as in episode 4, you finally got the reunion that was so earned, because for so long, Ben and the rest of the Stone family are just so desperate to find Eden, and then time after time after time, they just keep getting knocked, and they're just so disappointed by the fact that they don't know where Eden is, and everybody from the police force is telling them that Eden has died. So you just really just feel so much for the Ben Stone character, and just from his appearance, from the way that he is just treating everybody else, you can just feel and see how broken he is. And then adding to this, of course, he lost his wife Grace at the end of the 3rd season, which was just such a heartbreaking and tragic moment. So I just feel like Ben Stone's search for Eden was just such a great storyline. And I just feel like Angelina is the ultimate villain, as she was just causing so much heartache for everybody pretty much from an 828 perspective, and even non-828 passengers as well. And she was even able to convince Eden that she is her mother, so really did mess up with a lot of the fabric of the emotions of the Stone family. And like I said, that final reunion was just so earned, but it was also really dramatic when Angelina pretty much blew up the house which Adrian was protecting the passengers that nobody really wants anything to do with. So just causes so much damage. And Eden has a bit of a similar power to what Cal used to do with all of the drawings. So it's really nice to kind of have the drawings coming back full circle, as they were such a big pivotal moment and thing in the first season. The next big storyline has to do with the serial killer, the 828 serial killer, which we do find out, spoiler warning, is actually connected to Angelina, as it was her parents that are the ones that are murdering 828 passengers. So like I said, Angelina really was the ultimate villain. But I actually really like the storyline. First, I mean, it was really, really creepy, but I feel like they interwove a bit of a murder mystery storyline and angle and theme into Manifest so successfully, and it was just so gripping to see who on earth is going to be next. Are they able to survive this? And also, when they broke into the Stone family house, so intrusive, the fact that Zeke even got stabbed, was Olive going to die? It was just so gripping. It was just such a brilliant storyline. Next was the Omega Sapphire, and I thought it was really cool what they did over here actually, as Olive was trying to work it all out from like a mystical point of view, whereas Sanvi was working it all out from a scientific point of view, and then these two were actually combining when they did eventually find the Omega Sapphire, so they are able to then do a lot of powerful stuff. But then Egan, I feel like he is such a great character, and they really have made him a lot more prominent from a bit of a guest role in season 3, and he even stole the Omega Sapphire all for himself, so really did epitomize the most ultimate Judas character who is only ever caring for himself, and Angelina, the core true villain of this show, is also involved in this storyline when she is creating false callings. So really is a true threat. I wish they would have done a little bit more with that. I mean, I love the fact that we brought back Grace through Angelina's false callings, but I wish she would have done a little bit more in terms of doing false callings for a lot of other characters and just causing a lot more danger with this as well. The next big one, which also does tie back to the first season again, is Cal's cancer, which was another heartbreaking moment. So like I said, Ben just could not catch a break, as when he finally had a little bit of happiness with Eden, he then has more heartbreak with Cal. And then we also see that Zeke makes the ultimate sacrifice in taking Cal's illness for himself and then is just dying at the end. So it was equally so heartbreaking for Michaela to see that the love of her life is now sacrificing himself, and this is just going to fall out in just the worst possible way for this character in the second part of season 4, and you just know that she is just going to spiral out of control. And the other big storyline in this season is of course the registry, which is just posing such a big force for all of the 828 passengers, and of course all of their families as well. And you really do get to see how 828 passengers are just treated so badly, like they're pretty much scum, like they're criminals, and it's just so intrusive into all of their lives. So it really does make you feel uncomfortable. And I just feel like the journey of the 828 passengers across this show has been really, really interesting. So for example, first they're kind of viewed as prophets and they're viewed as miracles, then people really don't like them, the exes want to kill them, and now they're being viewed as true criminals and are now all being detained. So for the second part of season 4 is just going to be so interesting to see how on earth they're going to get out of this situation, and how they are then going to have to convince all of the non-828 passengers that what they're saying is true, and eventually will have to save the world. So I just feel like, from a storyline perspective, this season was just absolutely incredible. So now let's break down the ending. So the first thing we find out is that the death date doesn't only just apply to the 828 passengers, but actually applies to the whole world. And the prophesized event that it seems as if they have now returned back to Earth to prevent is the next apocalypse, which Angelina is causing. And I think it's really, really interesting. I'm sure they'll tap into this and explain it a lot more in the second part, but it seems to be a lot of divine intervention and a divine communication that they can do. So I'm hoping that they do explain this a lot more, as it does seem really, really intriguing. But anyway, let's go back to Angelina. Like I said, she really is the ultimate villain. So she gets her hands on the Omega Sapphire after whacking Egan to steal it from him, and is now creating false illusions of Grace. On that point, love the fact that we kind of saw Grace back. I knew it would happen, but it was just so brilliant to kind of see it taking place, and it must have just been so incredible from a behind the scenes perspective to have this actress back in the fold. It was just such an awesome moment. And like I said, I do love the fact that Angelina can create these false illusions with the Omega Sapphire, and she did trick both Ben and Cal, but they both then worked it out that actually this isn't the real Grace. So it was really, really cool, but nonetheless I feel like Angelina really was sticking the knife into both of these guys' hearts. And also we get to find out that she does define herself as a bit of an archangel and fallen angel. And it did seem like the glass did destroy and kill her, but still, she is still looming at large, and now has a bit of Omega Sapphire inside of her, so you just know that she is going to cause even more carnage. And you also see that Cal has been coughing out blood across this season, and this is because his cancer has returned, and he is so close to dying at the end of the first part of this season. But then Zeke, who was originally going to call all of his family members to say goodbye to Cal, then overhears Olive saying that Cal is going to be so pivotal to saving everybody. Maybe he's got something to do with him kind of being defined as the Holy Grail. So instead, Zeke uses his empathy powers to take the cancer away from Cal, and then suffers and dies because of this, and says his emotional goodbyes to Michaela. I wish they would have done a little bit more with Zeke. I will go on to talk about this in a minute, but I just feel like, his powers, at least from an empathy point of view, were extended to being able to take other people's emotions, and in this case, to take other people's illnesses as well. And the new police force are now detaining all of the 828 passengers, so it seems as if they're going to be so trapped and a little bit helpless potentially, whilst all of the non-828 passengers will see the volcano and destruction taking over the planet. Gupta was another really evil character. It did seem as if she was redeeming herself a little bit, as she was such an awful character in the third season, and it seemed as if, she is helping Sanvi, she is helping Vance, and she is actually trustworthy. but then she ultimately stabbed Samvi and Vance in the back when she's basically telling the government what they've been up to and now wants to take over all of their work. So like I said, such an evil character. But one moment that I absolutely loved, I mean loads of moments that I love, but one in particular that I loved was Eden when she chose Ben over Angelina. Such a euphoric moment, and I'm sure Ben would have celebrated a lot more, but of course Angelina was so unhinged that she had a gun on her. So like I said, such a wicked season finale. And a lot of other TV shows, even outside of Manifest, when they are having a bit of a season break or even something split into 2 parts, they are having a really wicked finale. But I have to say, Manifest season 4 part 1 just ended in such a wicked way. So after that incredible ending, here are my predictions and theories of what's going to happen in part 2 of season 4 of Manifest. So I feel like the 828ers are going to be put under even more scrutiny and are just going to be really struggling as their freedoms are just going to be totally confined. But then I feel like the world are going to have to really listen to them, especially once the apocalypse and the volcanoes are just really going to be taking over. I feel like another character may well sacrifice themselves, or another key character is going to die, unfortunately. Maybe it might be Olive, maybe it might be Vance, maybe it might be Sanvi. I feel like it's going to be really sad to see another character tragically pass away. I think Ben and Michaela are going to really be the leading force of the lifeboat and trying to not only save all of the passengers but try to save the entire world as well. And I absolutely love that moment when Jared, Olive and Zeke were in the calling, so I feel like a lot more of the non-828 passengers are also going to be involved in this as well. And maybe they will feel this as opposed to being indirectly in there and not really being connected with it. So I feel like that could be a really interesting twist. And I feel like Angelina is continuing to cause so much drama and chaos and carnage for pretty much everyone. But then eventually, I think pretty much maybe halfway through the season, she is eventually going to be stopped. And then maybe we're going to have an even bigger bad and maybe somebody that has actually been in the background this whole time. And I'm just hoping that there are a lot more gripping edge of your seat moments, maybe a lot more explosive sequences, something similar to all of the murder mystery stuff, seeing who is going to survive, who is going to get out of a very dangerous situation. I feel like Cal and Eden are going to be even more powerful as well. And maybe they're going to combine their powers and maybe they're going to really work together, which would be really, really cool. I think Michaela is also going to go back to Jared after tragically getting over the death of Zeke, but maybe Dre is going to be involved in that love triangle this time. And then speaking of Zeke, I feel like there's going to be maybe a bit of a Lost type ending in which we're going to have a bit of a reunion of Grace, of the real Grace this time, with Zeke and with all of the other passed away people as well. So I feel like they're going to end it in an absolutely incredible way. So one of the best things, hands down, about Manifest is its incredible cast and characters. They really do make it what it is, and just all of their performances are just so heart-driven. I mean, sometimes, especially in the first 3 seasons, Manifest did feel a little bit over the top, but you just love it for it. And I have to say, with season 4, it was just so gripping, incredible storylines, just jaw-dropping moments, and the cast and characters, because you've been so invested with them for the past 3 seasons, you are just so connected with everything that takes place, and it's just so good. So let's go through them one by one. So first up, of course, we have to talk about Josh Dallas, who was just so phenomenal as Ben Stone. Quite literally gives his everything. Like I said, he was probably one of those actors that does overact a little bit in the first couple of seasons, but this time he just focused it so brilliantly, and you're just so connected with him from an emotional point of view, and he's just gone through so much. For example, the death of Grace, which is just such a devastating moment, like I keep saying, at the end of the 3rd season. And then, of course, he loses Eden, and he hasn't seen this baby for the past 2 years. I wish you would have delved a little bit more into his reaction of Grace dying. As like I said, you do see it a little bit in the flashback, and this does cause a little bit of distance between him and Cal, but I would have loved to have seen a little bit more of Grace. But that being said, it was really earned when you do finally see her in the 10th episode. And from a mental health point of view, I feel like it was actually really realistic in terms of seeing Ben just really isolating himself and just really acting out whenever anybody wants to get close to him. He wants to push them away. Whenever anything happens, he does have a bit of an emotional burst of a reaction, which was incredible to see, but I feel like from a mental health point of view, it was so realistic as well. And he has just given up the will to live, as he just feels like he has lost everything, and he still has a little bit of a glimmer of hope, but even that you can almost see being totally squashed when he constantly, at least in the first 3 episodes, time after time after time, trying to find Eden, but just constantly gets knocked back. So I just feel like he was so endearing. And then, like I said before as well, he sees that his son Cal has now got cancer back. So I just feel like Ben never could have a break. And then he himself gets kidnapped and trapped by Adrian, nearly dies multiple times because of Angelina. So like I said, Ben Stone just totally deserves all of the awards as Josh Dallas just played him so well. Now let's talk about his sister Michaela, brilliantly played by Melissa Roxburgh. Such a cool character, and I just feel like she is such a brilliant lead. In the first couple of episodes, I feel like this actress took a little bit of a backseat, as Ben Stone, rightly so, just needed to be at the forefront. But instead, I feel like Michaela did a really good job in kind of leading the lifeboat by herself, and I really am glad that she, even though had a little bit of feelings for Jared, ultimately she chose Zeke to spend the rest of her life with. And then it was just so heartbreaking at the end when she is just losing this as well. But as far as this season is concerned, it was really great, as of course she has now left the police force, but she is still kind of working with them due to Jared and Drea helping her from the outside. And this was a really great continuation actually, as she was so pivotal and part of the police force in the first 3 seasons and was able to really help the team with all of their different callings because of that. So it's nice that she hasn't lost it, even though she has been kicked out of the police force. Next, let's talk about Matt Long. So I love Zeke Landon, and I just feel like he was a little bit weak in this season, as it was really great that he's using his empathic powers to help the guys whenever they need it, and also to help other people that really need it as well. But I just feel like from a storyline point of view, they definitely could have given him a lot more to do. Maybe not the love triangle with him, Jared and Michaela again, as they have done that a little bit, and they did tease it in a couple of flashbacks, but I would have just loved Zeke to have just been in a couple more missions. I know he was in that house confrontation scene, but like I said, I feel like he could have just done a little bit more before making the ultimate sacrifice with Cal. And then speaking of Cal, I feel like Ty Doran did a really good job actually of playing the older version of the Cal character. It was really nice to see 1 or 2 flashbacks with Jack Messina that, you know, he has filmed new footage with Cal, which was really, really cool. But I feel like for the most part, Ty did a really, really good job. I mean, any recast is always going to be a little bit difficult to take, but I feel like he did feel like the older version of this character, and he was still having the mind of the younger Cal, just in an older person's body. And he really did feel ostracized by his family, as they did constantly blame him for Angelina kidnapping Eden and so unceremoniously killing Grace. And he did kind of have his first kiss, which I thought was a really nice moment, and of course his cancer so tragically returning. And it was really nice to kind of see some brother-sister moments with him and Olive when they are kind of working together, and it is really cool to now finally see them both being the same age as well. Speaking of which, Luna Blaise is so good as Olive. I am sure that this actress is going to have such a successful acting career after this role, as she is just so good. And similarly to Ben, you can feel this character is just throwing everything from an emotional point of view and trying to help all of the guys, and really is such an expert with working everything out from a past point of view, from a mystical point of view. All of her relationships with TJ was really good. All of her emotional outbursts with the death of Grace. Obviously she was with Grace while all of these guys were just away for the 5 years, so I just feel like you can really understandably feel all of her emotions similarly as well. And even though it wasn't explicitly said like it has been in the past, you can feel a bit of an undercurrent of this character feeling a little bit on the outside but not having callings herself, so really does want to rectify this by trying to help them from another point of view. Next up we have Holly Taylor, who was so good as the unstoppable and unhinged Angelina character. Just causes so much damage and so much carnage to all of these characters, a little bit like Voldemort in terms of constantly being the threat for all of these characters, and just causes so much chaos. So first of all, of course, like we keep saying, she kidnapped Eden, manipulated a lot of people around her. She even managed to convince people, even though she is a kidnapper and a murderer, to take her in, to trust her, to believe her. Absolutely crazy. And then also made her parents into villainous murderers as well. And I love the fact that she was just using and manipulating everybody with the Omega Sapphire to create these false illusions. Like I said, I wish she would have done a little bit more with it, but love the fact that we got to get Grace back, which was just such a wicked moment. And I'm sure from the actress's point of view, it must have been so nice to return to play this wicked character. And of course, in the final few moments, she is the person that is causing the volcano. So really is a fallen character, really is the person that is bursting everybody out of this lifeboat, and is pretty much causing the apocalyptic end of the world, which is just so crazy. We've also got Parveen Kaur back as the Sanvi character. Really love the fact that she is still the scientific guru within the group. She was firstly working out all of the frequency stuff. That storyline didn't really go anywhere, but then she was able to work out all of the Omega stuff, and then gets betrayed in the worst possible way by Gupta. I feel like that scream and outrage that she did in the final few moments was just so earned and so believable, as she just trusted Gupta so well, and then Gupta just betrays her so awfully. Next up we have Daryl Edwards, and I love him as the Vance character, especially in the first season. He was pretty much the villain against everybody. And I just think this character and actor just has so much more to give. And I just wish they would have done that. I mean, it was really nice when he was feeling really emotional when Ben was having to go to Egan, as Egan just caused him so much damage. So, for example, at the end of his marriage, his son nearly dying. So, when the fact that Ben is now getting him to help the person that caused his life to go upside down was a really hard thing for him to do. But he was able to look past this and then was able to help Ben Stone, which was really, really nice. But like I said, other than that, he didn't really do much. And I wish you would have seen a little bit more of Vance, as he is such a formidable character and definitely is able to give a lot more over just kind of being the tech guy that everybody just always runs to. And speaking of Egan, I think he was great. I mean, he was a really great character in season 3, but over here, he really does show that he truly is a Judas character, only ever really thinks about his own self-interest, doesn't give a toss about anybody else, only cares about himself, and nearly was going to kill all of these characters after he stole the Omega Sapphire. But what I do think is really interesting, and it's a really great bit of social commentary, is if you are going to be that selfish and you are going to push everybody away, then when bad things happen to you, then people aren't always going to want to help you. Even though he did manipulate and trick people to help him, I do feel like you can learn a lot from this character. We've also got Jared, who was so good. He didn't do as much in terms of the love triangle stuff with Zeke and Michaela this time, as he was able to give them their blessing and was able to kind of move on with Drea. And was still helping one of the guys. I think Drea was really cool, as I loved it in season 3 when you think that Jared is going to be on the villainous side, as he was constantly arresting all of the 828ers and was just constantly being a bit of a threat towards them, but then undercover was actually always trying to be on their side. And similarly, Drea kind of took up this mantle this season as she was helping them from behind. Adrian didn't have as much to do in terms of a big storyline this time, more being a bit of a redeemed character, now wanting to help all of the other 8-way passengers, and then losing his sanctuary. I feel like that was a really sad moment. Can't wait to see Daly hopefully returning in the second part, as potentially he could be such a wicked pivotal character, and he has kind of been sprinkled here and there in the 3rd season and the first part of season 4, but you just know he's going to be even bigger in the second part. Really cool, even though there wasn't any new footage, to kind of see flashbacks to the Major. She was such a big evil character, and you did find out that Gupta did actually work for the Major, so it was really cool to see that. You also got to see a couple of other characters popping in here and there. For example, the stowaway Evie, who is just so emotionally connected to the Michaela character. The police force have been a big presence in the first 3 seasons, but over here you can really feel what a terrifying presence they are, especially against all of the 828ers and all of the people that are caring for Angelina's parents. So many wicked ensemble group of characters in the first part of season 4 of Manifest. So from a visuals point of view, season 4 has been absolutely incredible, considering that they are still filming with all of the COVID protocols. I feel like they have made such a wicked season, as they go to so many different locations, which does make it feel a lot more dynamic. And this show is a much larger than life, end of the world type feeling. And because they go to loads of different locations, I feel like all of that looks really good. All of the cinematography, all of the visual effects look really cool too. And true edge of your seat moments that you really are feeling for these characters. And I just feel like they have these big massive sequences which just look so good. You're really fearing for a lot of the characters' lives when they're in these dangerous situations. Who's going to get out, who's going to survive. So brilliant, and just so dangerous as well for all of them, especially with the end of the world apocalyptic type situations taking place. And all of the mystery solving is really cool. I feel like a little bit like Indiana Jones when they were trying to solve all of those missing puzzle pieces, all of the murder mystery stuff, all of the house confrontation stuff. Everything was just so wicked. And even when it feels a lot more stripped back and it's a lot more of the Stone family moments, all of the passenger moments, everything just feels really warm, whilst also feeling really dangerous at the same time. So I just feel like Manifest just absolutely smashes it from a visuals perspective. So from a comparisons point of view, I absolutely loved the first part of season 4. I really enjoyed season 1 as well, so I would put them on par, very closely followed by seasons 2 and seasons 3. And if you're looking for other shows that are very similar to Manifest, then I would definitely check out the 4400, Flash Forward, Lost, and of course Emergence as well. And so from a comparisons point of view, I have to say the first part of season 4 of Manifest was so awesome. So overall, I absolutely loved the first part of season 4 of Manifest. I was a little bit apprehensive going into this, especially as it was now fully taken over by Netflix, so I didn't know if they were going to change the blueprint of this show. But if anything, they allowed them to continue exactly as they were, and the creative direction was even stronger, which was just so wicked. And now I just can't wait for the second part of season 4, as the first part was just so incredible, such brilliant performances, incredibly gripping storylines, and just true edge of your seat viewing with everything that just takes place in this season. So I just cannot wait, like I said, for the second part to see how it's all going to finally conclude, which is going to be a little bit bittersweet. But as far as the first part of season 4 is concerned, I have to give it a massive 8 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear what you thought of it. Also, please let us all know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.